Hello beautiful people, it's Mai here from Nintendo Life, and whether you want to believe it or not, the Switch 2 is a whole year old. Yeah, best not to think about it. The console itself is one thing, but the games themselves are of real importance here. And seeing as we have 12 months under our collective belt, we thought we should take a look at what we consider the best of the bunch. A few rules, naturally. First, the game would have had to be released between the dates of the 5th of June 2025 and the 4th of June 2026. That bit should be pretty obvious. But what's not obvious is that we're keen to celebrate the Switch 2 outside of the Switch 1, which means no Nintendo Switch 2 editions of Switch 1 games that had been already released previous to those dates mentioned. So no Breath of the Wilds or Tears of the Kingdoms or anything like that. We will, however, be breaking the rule once just to mess with you. But that's all the rules out of the way. Let's bring in the games. All the games mentioned on this list have been scored at least an 8 out of 10, and as per usual, the list has been randomised. Also, in order to make this a wee bit easier on myself, I've roped Alex in to help me out. Now, without further ado, let's get stuck in.
How appropriate that the first game we talk about was one of the first games ever released for the console. Yes, it's Mario Kart World, if you weren't able to tell from the few seconds of footage you saw before I said that out loud. I mean, it's already been said before, you know, there's plenty of people, plenty of decriers out there saying, oh, it's not as good as Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and that's a fair point to have, but I don't think you can deny that Mario Kart World, whilst it might not be absolutely perfect, it is a blinking good game and a really, really solid way to blast Mario Kart into something quite different, you know? The open world may not be absolutely full of stuff, absolutely, but I don't know, there's a part of me that, you know, when I was a child, I would have absolutely adored that. I would have explored every nook, every cranny, thinking, what's round here? What's there? And you are often rewarded, only in a small way, but you are often rewarded, even if it's just, oh, there's a few coins here. There's Nabbit, let's grab him and get a few coins. Okay, it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but they went really hard on trying something new, and overall, I think it's a fantastic Mario Kart game. I mean, you know, Rainbow Road alone is way better than 8 Deluxe's original, or 8, I suppose. You know, that is one spicy Rainbow Road.
And speaking of spicy, what do you get when you combine the likes of the Telltale games and a superhero story, which would be right at home in the world of the TV show The Boys? Well, that would be Dispatch. In Dispatch, you play as the former superhero Robert Robertson III, who, after a bit of a rough and tumble in his last mission, becomes a dispatcher for a group of villain-turned superheroes. I had a whole bunch of fun with Dispatch, and it's more than adult content, and every time I go back, even just to get a new ending, it's always such a joy. The amount of times I'm going to have a certain karaoke scene in my head playing over and over and over again, I will be laughing like nobody's business. So if you're looking for something that's a little bit more adult, granted with some censor bars included in this version of the game, oh, you are in for an absolute treat.
But if narrative is too much for you, why not try out Sektori, one of the least narratively driven games I've played in a long time. If you like Geometry Wars, I mean, you're looking at it now, you can see that this is, you know, it kind of is Geometry Wars, but it is also so much more besides. The defining move in this game that sets it apart from all the other twin-stick shooters out there is the strike move. This charges you forward, creates a little explosion, and just, well, it kills a load of enemies, obviously. But then you need to wait for it to recharge, or you can chain it together by picking up pickups whilst you're doing the strike, and then you'll instantly recharge it, meaning it's this constant, frenetic battle of striking and then shooting and striking and trying to chain as much as you possibly can together. And I will just be completely honest. If you're not up for difficult games, this is not the game for you. If you do get the game, you'll start playing and you go, God, blimey, this is blooming difficult. Can I turn down the difficulty? And then you'll realize you're on the easiest difficulty. They won't even unlock the medium or hard difficulty until you've done a fair chunk of the easiest. So if you like a challenge, you can't go wrong here.
Challenging or not, you decide. The story of Dragon Quest VII returns as Dragon Quest VII Reimagined. Now, this isn't just a remake or a remaster for the sake of remake or remasters, but something completely new in itself, in my opinion. The game returns in an utterly gorgeous diorama, visual art style, updated gameplay, and has just been fine-tuned just a bit more. Together with your friends, you embark on an adventure of a lifetime, discovering lost lands and fighting evil along the way. And even though I'd never previously played the original, nor really dived into the mainline stories, I felt like I'd been part of the franchise this whole entire time of playing it. It's absolutely gorgeous, cozy, and just an absolute, again, another treat to go into.
Moving away from story yet again, it's almost like we have particular tastes. We have Kirby Air Riders. Now, again, it's an arcadey style game, but this is a Masahiro Sakurai game, and you can feel it every single second that you are playing. This game is just frantic, fast-paced nonsense. I mean, the city trial is obviously like the big draw for everyone, but all the other modes as well, it's beautifully realized, beautifully manic, beautifully chaotic, and also just frankly beautiful. I mean, you're looking at this game, you can do 4 players split screen and it stays at 60 frames a second for the most part, but overall, like, this is one of those games that it feels like it shouldn't exist. The GameCube original was kind of like it wasn't like a huge success or anything like that. It's sort of like cult following, things like that. So to suddenly get a sequel with like a single player mode as well, which is actually on paper sounds, fairly rudimentary, but in reality is actually really good fun. Honestly, it's just superb. And it's more Kirby, and who can argue with that?
Now with a game that I feel has been in our lives since early childhood, which is Mina the Hollower, a mix of nostalgia and, in my opinion, a modern classic. What I really loved about Mina the Hollower, aside from it being, incredibly challenging in my opinion, is the fact that they've added an assist mode for players like me, who has a little bit of a, let's just say, a different skill set. This game really opens up to players who have maybe been intimidated by games who have a reputation of being incredibly difficult. So with this, it was just a joy to play every single moment, burrowing through the land and fighting as many enemies as I can find and exploring the world like any other old school Zelda game. It was just absolutely stunning. I felt like a child again, going under my bed covers, hiding from my parents, pretending I was asleep, but really playing Mina the Hollower. An absolute joy.
You may also want to hide under your covers for this one, although you really shouldn't be playing it if you are a child. Resident Evil Requiem. This came out on Switch 2 day in day with other platforms, which is, frankly, it shouldn't be something to be celebrated, but it is, and regardless, I'm going to celebrate it anyway. And what a game to do that with. This is one of Capcom's finest works for a very long time, and it's not like that's a low bar either. Okay, it's no secret that the Leon sections didn't quite gel with me as much, but oh my god, all the Grey sections are some of the best survival horror that I have played just ever, full stop. I could play it indefinitely. Well, I couldn't play it indefinitely because it would lose its edge. But my god, that first time around was like nothing else I've ever played before. Except maybe the first time I played Resident Evil Remake on the GameCube.
Now for something with a little bit of a slower pace, with exactly what it says in the tin. Cast and chill, but it isn't just your basic fishing game, no. Sure, you make your way up and down the river, catching fish along the way with your furry companion, but you also upgrade your equipment, and you have a large compendium of fish as well as loads of different areas to go to. All in all, Cast and Chill is both, in my opinion, an active and an idle game, which has always been really a big bonus for me. I'd often have my Switch 2 propped up on my desk whilst it was in idle mode, fishing away, doing its own thing, whilst I did my own thing, doing adult things like, working. So I always found it really exciting to kind of go back to the game just to see what large haul my little fishy person would catch.
Something that I feel is not done nearly enough on any platform, doesn't matter whether it's Switch, Switch 2, Xbox, PlayStation, is couch co-op, as it's called. And Split Fiction is a game that does it, well, I mean, if you've played It Takes Two, well, let's be honest, you've heard of Split Fiction because it is that flipping good. I played through the whole thing with my wife. It is an absolute blast from start to finish. It's got some genuinely good voice acting. It runs surprisingly well on Switch 2 as well. It was an earlier game, so, don't expect the heights of things like Resident Evil Requiem or anything like that. But my god, is it a perfectly cromulent way to play the game, and it is just so much fun to be able to play through something with someone else and make it such an integral part of the game. You can't play it alone. You can't play it alone. That is a bold move, and I want more companies to take similarly bold steps in the future.
I'm going to make a very bold statement here, but with Blueprints, oh my goodness, I had my head scratching and I had my work cut out for me. I've admired Blueprints from afar, having worked with Raw Fury very briefly before being on this lovely channel. So seeing all the accolades it was achieving and the hype that was all around the game just really wanted me to play it more. If you're looking to play this game, I would highly recommend having something like a notebook, because you're going to be taking a lot of notes, going through the mansion, trying to find the 46th room in this estate. The art style itself is really bold, and I couldn't help but think that the gameplay itself reminded me of old school point and click adventure games that I grew up on. I've always really enjoyed opening each room, wondering which one I should pick, which one to go for next, and I'm going back into this time and time again, just if I want to have a little bit of a workout with my brain.
Want to talk about workout for your brain? Try Hades 2, baby. This is a different set of skills, though. This isn't thinking, sitting down and sort of like working things out and going, and making decisions. It is, oh my god, everything's trying to kill me constantly, and then you do get killed constantly. It's a roguelite, and it is one of the best, to say the least. And it's a game that, even if you played the original Hades, you'll be surprised how much there is to Hades 2. Like, not only are you just going down to try and deal with Kronos, the Lord of Time and all that good stuff, but you're also going to the surface as well, and that's when things, I don't want to say they open up even more, but there are quite a few surprises there that maybe you wouldn't be expecting, even if you're a fan of the original or just Greek mythology generally, which I was about to say most people are, but maybe I just hang around with people who are fans of Greek mythology. Who knows? Let us know with a comment down below.
I have a lot to say about this next game, which many people would say is very much a dad and daughter game, but to me it's so much more. I instantly fell in love with Pragmata as soon as I saw the trailer, but when I dived into the game, I didn't think I would love it even more, let alone love little Diana more than she actually is. The gameplay itself is really reminiscent to those Xbox 360 kind of arcadey games, and of course with it being the director of Metal Gear Revengeance, I knew straight away it was going to be my cup of tea. Aside from that, the actual visual style on the Switch 2 is absolutely gorgeous. As soon as you pop out, you see the kind of world around you. Even the internal environments are absolutely incredible. The enemies themselves are really satisfying to kill. Once you get in the flow of moving the buttons around on the little grid map that Diana generates when she's hacking these enemies, it's like second nature. I always recommend people give this a go if they're looking for something that is short and sweet and not too crazy.
I don't think there's a sensible way to link to this next game, so I'll just say Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong Bananza, baby. This is, if you're looking at this and you're thinking Super Mario Odyssey, you'd be right, it's the same team, but more importantly, this is very much its own thing, and it's a very different direction for Donkey Kong in, well, whichever way you slice it, but they have succeeded, I feel, in practically every single way. Not only is the story surprisingly heartfelt for something that is essentially a Mario game, at least Mario-adjacent game, but also the gameplay, just going through, smashing the ever-living nonsense out of everything, surprisingly cathartic. You can even destroy an entire level if you wish, although, having done it myself, I wouldn't recommend it.
You may not be smashing up levels in this one. In fact, you might have to try and be as quiet as possible, but Reanimal is just an absolute treat, especially if you're like me and a big fan of the Little Nightmare series. My entire time with Reanimal felt both intense, tense and also in awe. Yes, you have your simple sneaking around and platforming and puzzle mechanics, but it's just something about the actual atmosphere of the game that really drew me in on the Switch 2. What I've always really loved about the Little Nightmares series is that it doesn't just tell you the story for the sake of telling you, it actually just shows you, and with this, it's an art piece in itself.
You know what? I think this game is an art piece as well, but for different reasons. Ball Pit, or Ball X Pit. I think it is just called Ball Pit, but there's an X in there as well. This is a weird game, to say the least. It's very difficult to sort of really grasp what it's all about, just from looking at gameplay, but basically, if you're thinking, hey, this looks a little bit like Arkanoid, a little bit like Breakout, you're sort of right, but at the same time, also way off the mark. It is definitely its own thing. It's another roguelite. I have taste. But what a roguelite really needs to be is endlessly replayable, and this is... I don't know if there's something more than endlessly replayable, but I think if there is, this is achieving it. So many different characters to unlock, and they have so many different ways of playing the game. If you don't want it, you never have to do the same run twice.
So a little bit of a curveball here, but don't be angry. I know it's technically a Switch 1 game, but we would be crazy if we did not mention Tomodachi Life Living the Dream, because it made a big mark on the Switch 2 as well, and I am secretly hoping that there's a Switch 2 edition in the future. Tomodachi Life has definitely become my go-to get up in the morning, play a little bit before work kind of game, and let's just say it's replaced Animal Crossing for me. I have been able to create some really out there characters, experience some really interesting situations, including some romances that were definitely unplanned, and may or may not have done a little bit of meta gaming in there, creating myself and people I know in my real life. Who somehow are best friends with Sailor Moon, for example. It's a weird game. Tomodachi Life is great for people who just want to have something that's a little bit bonkers and maybe add a little bit of artistic flair to each character creation and item creation. If you're on the Switch, or even, the Switch 2 like we are, this game is a must-have to get, and you'd be mad not to get it.
Just like you'd be mad not to get involved in Indiana Jones's latest adventure in Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. This is a game that was great on Xbox, great on PS5, and you know what? It's great on Switch 2 as well. Okay, it's only running at 30 frames a second, but what we've got here is a ray tracing enabled game on Switch 2, running surprisingly smoothly, but what's far more important is the game itself is ridiculously good fun. I don't quite know how they managed to capture the essence of Indiana Jones better than the previous two films ever could, but they managed it. This is like the missing Indiana Jones film, but it's a game. What more could you want? Oh, I don't know, maybe the fact that it's on Switch 2 as well? There you go, baby. We've done it all. We've done it all. This game's superb. Just go out and get it now. Also, it's all on the cartridge. No game keycard here, baby. All on the cartridge.
I am still in awe that Final Fantasy VII has managed to run beautifully on the Switch 2. I grew up playing Final Fantasy games, including the original Final Fantasy VII, so having it make the jump from being a turn-based JRPG to a more fluid fighting style open world JRPG, to me that is a beautiful, beautiful combination. The graphics itself look absolutely gorgeous on Switch 2, and I'm not really the one to bother about if it looks beautiful or not, but every time I boot up Final Fantasy VII Remake, I am always captivated by how absolutely gorgeous it looks and how it sounds. As a fan of Final Fantasy 15 and Kingdom Hearts, I absolutely love the juggling style and interactive party maneuvers, so to me this is the ultimate version of Final Fantasy 7 in my books.
From one ultimate to another, what I consider to be the ultimate Metroidvania. Sorry, Metroid, I would say that in some ways you've been surpassed with Hollow Knight's Silk Song. My God, you didn't think it could be done after so long in development. After expectations were so high after the previous game, you thought that they were never going to be met. But not only were they not met, they were not met only because they were absolutely smashed. Silksong has some of the best, if not the best, atmosphere I've ever experienced in a game. It is unbelievably responsive, snappy, amazing moveset. The game teases you with all these sort of little bits and pieces. You get little upgrades here and there, and then it turns out many of the upgrades, including, I want to make this clear, the double jump, not required to finish the game. And not even like in some sort of, if you do all this weird stuff, you don't have to use the double jump. It is just like, no, you get the double jump after you've rolled credits the first time. What is going on with that? How bold do you have to be to not only spend this long making a sequel, but then to hide the double jump behind the credits? My God, I love the world of Farloom. And I was about to say I want to live there. I do not want to live there, but I'd love to go on a short holiday. A protected holiday.
Not so much a holiday, but more so because there's no humans. Pokémon Pokopia is, to me, one of my favorite cozy games. A combination of a Dragon Quest Builder-esque game with Pokemon of all things. Who knows? You get to play as Ditto, who is one of my favorite Pokemon because he's just a weird little guy. And being able to rebuild the world that we know of in Pokemon in whatever way I want, and being able to be pals with the Pokemon, it's just been a joy beyond compare. Granted, the game does take everything at a slower pace, which is really lovely as well. Again, it's one of my Sunday games that I tend to play, and being able to play with my friends who have also grown up with the series, it's just wonderful. The one thing I will always say about the Pokemon is that the dialogue itself deserves an award. Having the likes of Magikarp just constantly saying yo to you just warms my millennial heart.
And finally, and rather poetically, I feel, we're also going to end on a day one game. Yes, Cyberpunk 2077. This is one of the best games of recent years. Now, okay, yes, it had a terrible launch on other platforms, but, when it launched on Switch, everyone thought there's no way that this is going to run well. There's no way. And yet it does. Not only does it run well, but surprisingly well in so many different regards. And it's one of the deepest, most immersive worlds I've ever experienced.
And I'll admit, Cyberpunk 2077 was my Mario Kart. I didn't get Mario Kart when I got my Switch 2. I went full into that futuristic cyber world. That's what I did, and I've loved every moment. I get to be able to pick it up and put it down whenever I want, and every time I do, it's just absolutely wonderful. I still can't believe it's able to run on Switch and have everything on the cartridge as well.
Oh, I know.
Mm-hmm. That's something
what a bonus.
I know, they easily could have just put it on as a key card, but no. CD Projekt Red coming in clutch again, baby.
And there you have it. Those are, in our opinion, the 21 finest games that have come to the Nintendo Switch 2 in its very first year. Blimey, has it already been a year? Did we miss anything important? Of course we did, because of the format limiting it to 2021. Let us know your choices with a comment, or maybe two, in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then why don't you count down the days as they slowly ebb and fade away, never to return, never to return. With that subscribe button, and be sure to check out NintendoLife.com for all sorts of lovely Nintendo-related content. Thank you again for watching. Bye-bye.